What's happening with the... Welcome, my friends and gems, to this broadcast, this information question and answer session about cell activation. Sadiq, great to see you, my fellow genius mystic healer. It's been years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. How are you? How are you doing? Good.
Doing absolutely fantastic. Great to see you
Great to
again.
see you.
I
Thank you very
remember when I met you back in June of 2019 at Dr. Joe's incredible week-long event. That was really, it was an incredible experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're still on the path. We're still running on the path.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a beautiful, extraordinary, miraculous, mystical path. I would never go back to not, going in deep with meditation, because there's so many incredible benefits and extraordinary experiences that are absolutely undescribable. Only, those who know. And
yeah, I do understand completely. I do understand that.
yeah. And this is Carol. She's my co-host. She has been
she calls me her co-host because I'm on here all the time.
Yes.
I don't have much to say, but I can chat if I need to. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Carol. It's my pleasure.
So let me share about this life-saving technology. One of the things that I love about these patches is that it's like a 12-hour meditation. And a lot of people who meditate, they're like, oh my gosh, if I could get the effects of, we all have lives to live. And Dr. Joe is the first one to tell us, it's like, okay, you can't spend 24 hours a day oming out in meditation. You actually have to be, you're here in 3D for a reason. You have a purpose. Hopefully you have a passion that's propelling you in that purpose. And you're out here in 3D, manifestation, to be a force for good for others, not just here for yourself. And if you're oming out in a cave, 24/7, then, that's not the way, you have to live fully. And so we love, heck, every single one of us, we love that feeling of being out of body, having those incredible mystical experiences. You don't feel time. You repair and do all sorts of things for your body. But let's face it, we don't have 12 hours every single day. If you're going to sleep 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, whatever, everybody's needs are different, but let's say 6 as a minimum. And then you're going to do 12 hours of meditation. All you have left is time to eat, take a bath, and do a few other things. It doesn't leave you many hours in the day to get anything done. And so the beauty is that you can have your cake and eat it too. I still meditate morning, afternoon, evenings, some days longer than others, but I have the benefits of activating my inner light. I'm redirecting my inner light with this incredible technology that was divinely inspired in meditation to our scientist, David Schmidt, who is my best descriptor that I can give to you. He is the combination of like Nikola Tesla and Steve Jobs and Albert Einstein, all braided into one human being. He has that level of genius, creativity, but notice how all three of them are very tuned in, tapped in, turned on. They were all advanced meditators, all acknowledged not only the imagination, but that tuning into that unlimited potential where you're in your right mind, which you can only get in meditation, right?
Yeah. Definitely, that's not by way possible to get it while you are awake, unless you're just gonna go into that space. There's something, as you said. But I'm really, really surprised about. I need to know more about these patches. First time I heard about it.
Yeah, so let's dive in deep. Let me share my screen with you, and we will share about this life-saving technology. And we're going to talk about the mother cell activation patch primarily. We have the Fantastic Five, but I'm going to focus primarily today about the Fantastic Five, about the mother cell activation patch. And then I'm going to talk about the energy enhancer, because this was the first one that David Schmidt invented. He literally had the Department of Defense who came to him. He had invented, they had already put him under contract to create and invent all sorts of things for them. And they said to him, hey, listen, David, could you invent something to enhance the energy of the Navy SEALs? We have them on amphetamines, uppers, and energy drinks, and those work fine. But as soon as the energy wears out, they crash, and it's very hard on their bodies. Can you create something that's more organic and holistic that is going to sustain them better? And so he, as he always does, you know, he's been inventing things since he was a child. He went into prayer and into meditation, and he got that divine download. And he took that packet of information, went straight to the lab, began to test it, and 39 iterations later, this actually was this patch that was actually the first one that was born. This one was the first one that was born, and this one 4 years ago, 39 came into being. So we'll get into what the differences are between the two. Before we do that, I am broadcasting live on YouTube, and we have to give our disclaimer because we have we've crossed our T's, dotted our I's, we're in good graces with the FDA. So our disclaimer is that the patches are not intended to prevent, cure, or heal any disease. We do not heal, cure, treat, or diagnose, nor do we offer protocols. The suggestions do not replace the diagnosis and treatment by a qualified licensed healthcare professional. We strongly recommend you consult with your doctor concerning your specific health challenge and treatment needed. No medical claims are being made with the suggestions here. None of the patches, we have a suite of 11 patches. So none of them were created for a disease or a condition or a syndrome. They all work systemically. The entire systems of the body are rebalanced and repaired. Things are repaired at a cellular level, and your body is brought into balance, okay? So we'll touch upon lightly, we kind of had a little curtailment of what we could or what we couldn't say as of this last August, September, because the FDA inspects our facilities. Our patches are made in FDA registered facilities. So they come every other fall to inspect us. And this last August, they took a new position that all claims surrounding stem cells and healing, even those from natural products, will be regarded as drug claims. So the FDA also asserts that claiming that the use of light to elevate peptides, such as GHKCU, is inappropriate for a general wellness product. So with that being said, as a result of their notification to us, we can't say that, although we have 90 clinical studies that show that our patches, in fact, do activate a third of your previously dormant master smart cells that were not damaged, destroyed, or disappeared, but they've been dormant all this time. We've simply turned them back on. And then that activates GHKCU is what actually turns them on. And it's through your own body's infrared light. It's not an exterior light source, which is what makes this kind of interesting. But there are some solutions that are being already put in queue that are already in effect. So I will say what we can and what we can't say any longer, just to make sure that we're all clear. So all of this is possible because way before these patches, like I said, this is just a 20-year-old company. Back in 1973, the scientist, Dr. Laurent Picard, he discovered that GHKCU copper peptide activates 1/3, 33% of your previously dormant stem cells, turning your genes to a younger, healthier state. So that brings us to the question, what are stem cells? Because a lot of people don't know what are stem cells. And stem cells are just pluripotent cells, which means that they have many potentials. Pluri from the word plural, as opposed to singular, potent from potentials. So basically, these are your master smart cells. So I will be referring to these master smart cells for the remainder of this presentation. And so they have the ability to turn, I should go back here a second, I'm getting ahead of myself, but every single one, when you were first conceived in your mother's womb, you have 23,688 genes and stem cells and master smart cells, excuse me. Those master smart cells are what create you grow you into an embryo, because they have all the programming to form you into an embryo, and then grow you into a fetus, then into a newborn baby, and then take you all the way until the finish line, until you take your last breath. And as things get damaged, as we move along and as we grow and as we live, those master smart cells have the original blueprint to replicate and to replace the damaged cell with a new cell. Now, that's why you don't, you've got almost 24,000 of these master smart cells when you're first conceived, all the way until you're about 30 years of age. And you don't see 10-year-olds with gray hair. You don't see 10-year-olds with wrinkles. Wrinkles are just there because of oxidative stress. That's because they have 100% of their stem cells, of their master smart cells, that are replacing any damaged cell. They get a cut today, 2 days later, the cut's gone. You see a cut on a 30-year-old, a cut today, 3, 4, 5 days later, the cut is gone. A 60, 70, 80-year-old, they get a cut today, 2 weeks later, finally, the cut is gone, 2, 3 weeks later. It takes a while. Sometimes it'll take up to a month for someone over 60, 70 years of age to have a cut. Anything to heal takes longer. And that's because when you're born, you have 100% of your master smart cells. When you're 30 years old, 50% of your original smart cells, they turn off. Not because they're damaged, not because they're destroyed, not because they disappear. They've simply gone dormant until we apply a cell activation patch. As soon as it touches your skin, 1/3, 33%. So now you have 50% plus the 33%, you have 83%. You're pretty close to that 100% mark. And you have this rapid restoration going on. For every decade of life that you are alive, more and more of your original smart cells turn off. So by the time you're 60, 90% turn off until you apply this cell activation patch. The moment you do that, then you go from 10% to now 43 to 50%. You're almost at the same level that you were at when you were 30 years of age, which is why people who apply these patches 12 hours every day for the next 365 days, the next 12 months, drinking their water, that's why we have such significant improvement in their balancing of the different systems of the body and relief from pain, and things disappear that used to be an issue before. So the thing to note is when you're just 25 years of age, that's like 5 years before 50% of those master smart cells turn off. At 25, already you have your fibroblasts that are starting to decline in their production of collagen. Collagen is, in fact, the #1 building block protein of the body. Think about that. Collagen is the #1 building block protein of the body. I want you to keep in mind proteins moving forward as I talk about this, because every time we apply a cell activation patch on your body, we're activating the GHKCU, which turns on and activates proteins inside the body. Okay. So let me share with you here also, when your mother's ovum unites with your father's sperm at conception, now you have complete information. Prior to that, your mother's ovum didn't have all the information by herself. Neither did your father's sperm. You needed that one ovum and one of 16 million sperm to come together to have complete information. Okay, does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's look at the human body. Like, you want to think of your human body as like your temporary housing unit. And inside your body, you have these master cells, these master smart cells, which are known as stem cells. And these are like printer ink cartridges inside your copy machine that you use to make photocopies at home or at work. And if you look at the ink cartridges, when you have 100% of the ink, because you have brand new ink cartridges, like having 100% of your master smart cells, you make copies, and the copy is indistinguishable from the original. Black and white, color, doesn't matter. They're indistinguishable one from the other. But when you've used up 70, 80, 90% of that ink, now the copies are faded versions of the original. And there's a big difference between the faded version of the original versus the actual original, right? You can tell them clearly apart. So how do these patches work? How does this technology actually work? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. So if you look at the cell activation patch, you can see that as I hold this up to the camera, it has a white dot in the middle. Our bodies are all infrared light. We know that, you know, both Carol, yourself, Carol's actually a very experienced transcendental meditation individual that's been practicing that for years, much like yourself as a Dr. Joe advanced student. We know that we are light beings. We know that not only from the aspect that the mystics, like the Egyptians, the Incas, the Mayas, they've all talked about it in ancient scriptures, but science is the contemporary language of mysticism. And science is just 300 years old. And in the last 300 years, we've been able to prove scientifically, because we measure it, we scan it. For example, the spectrograph can show the joules of energy. Joules is the unit of measurement we use to measure electricity inside of the body. So the joules of energy inside of the body are evidenced by this imaging here, where it shows the electricity, it shows the light, because electricity is light. It's showing the electricity inside the hand, and also that it's glowing outside of the hand, and it even emits little rays of electrical impulses. You know, the little filaments come out from all over your body, not especially from your hands and from your eyes, but from other parts of your body too. In fact, I have a biowell machine that I can put the different fingers of the hands in, and I can measure all the different organ systems of the body. It'll tell me the joules of energy that are below or above range for each organ and every system of the body. So the patches work on this electricity that's in the body. The light spectrum is the infrared light. Our 56 trillion cells have, every single one of those cells have electrons. Every molecule of the body has electrons. Our blood, our cerebral spinal fluid have electrolytes in them. Electrons and electrolytes are just packets of electricity, okay? So that light energy that's inside of us, the moment we apply this patch, that white dot, it's not just a little Band-Aid sticker thingamajiggy. That white dot is organic sugar crystals, salt crystals, organic hydrogen, oxygen, water crystals, and a proprietary blend of organic amino acids. And those crystals are behaving just like a diamond crystal. So the moment you flash a light on a diamond crystal, you see that the light reflects back to your eyes, and you see all the different colors of the prism reflecting back to your eyes. Same thing is happening when we apply a patch on the skin. This is just a mechanical structure that's redirecting your infrared light back to your body. Up to 4 inches deep, it's reflecting it through the muscle, through the skin, through the tendons, through the ligaments, through the cartilage, through the bone, into the bone marrow, down to the cellular level inside of your body, up to 4 inches deep. And now this light spectrum goes to activate through GHKCU activation. It's turning on those master smart cells. So 33% of your previously dormant master smart cells are now like floodlights. You can kind of pretend, make believe that they're like construction workers that you hired. You turned the on switch, and now that construction remodeling crew is replacing, restoring, regenerating any damaged cell. It's replacing it with a new one. Wherever master smart cells are attracted to inflammation, because they know and they're programmed that where there's inflammation, there are damaged cells, there's oxidative stress. So they look for inflammation in the body to replace and restore that with a brand new cell, and to purge and get rid of the body, detoxify the body from that senescent, that zombie cell that's no longer has function. Instead of letting it float around in the body, no, it purges it through detoxification. How do we detox? Through urination, defecation, and perspiration. Basically, we sweat, pee, and poop it out. The mother cell activation patch gives you a 30% uptick in glutathione. That's one of your master antioxidants in the body. Your brain signals your liver to turn on your glutathione. That then goes into your bloodstream, and then it's disseminated to every single organ of the body. Every organ system of your body has glutathione To the degree that you have good glutathione levels, you have good neurological function. That means that you've got good brain function, you've got good eye function, you've got good muscular function. You'll find that people who, and you also will have good immune system function. People who have autoimmune disorders are low in glutathione, just as people who have neurological conditions have low glutathione. Either when they're tested, they either show low or no glutathione levels. Now you're going to activate your 30% uptick in glutathione just from wearing this mother cell activation patch. We already talked about these fibroblasts, so we talked about the 30% here uptick. Let's move on here. Let's talk about phototherapy, because this is called, some people call these phototherapy patches, photobiomodulation patches. In the medical world, in the scientific world, this is called photobiomodulation. It's a gigantic mouthful of a word, but photo means light. Bio, we're biological beings. Modulation is movement and change. And while phototherapy has been defined as the use of the ultraviolet light for its healing effects, these patches have been specifically developed to reflect light in the infrared and visible light bands back onto the skin where the patches have been placed. So supported by normal electrodermal skin conductance, which has to do with the electricity of the skin, because we're light beings, right? The human body then gives off a number of materials biochemically, including particulate release, tiny little particles, gas emissions, ultraviolet, infrared, near infrared, and visible spectrum light. This then stimulates the area of the skin, producing improved physiological effects. So variations on phototherapy have then been used for at least 100 years. And in that time, there's been little evidence of negative side effects. So for example, my friend Ron, when he applied this X39 patch on his hand, because he had really bad arthritis in both hands. His doctor was telling him that he needed surgery in his wrists. And he took the patch and he, instead of putting it here on his wrist, he put it right here on the webbing of his hand, because he had really bad hand arthritis. His hand pain was so severe that when he would go to church on Sundays, little old ladies would go to shake his hand, and poor thing, it would bring him to his knees, even though he's like a big dude. He's like, I don't know, like 6'3", 6'4". Now he's all solid muscle, because he had 13 things that plagued him that were bad with his body, that were wrong. He was 64 years old. And in the first year of him wearing the mother cell activation patch, all 13 things disappeared. But the first thing that disappeared was he put the patch on his hand, and a few minutes later, and many people experienced within 3 to 4 minutes a 50 to 100% reduction in pain. And he was one of those people who we call them the one-patch wonder people. Carol was like that too. She was a one-patch wonder girl too. We'll tell you about what happened to her. And Al, it's good to see you on here too. He has another incredible, it was incredible what happened to Al. He's like the fastest. So yeah, it's very interesting what happened to them. So anyhow, what happened to, so then he realized, he's like, wow, what's in this miracle patch? It's like, this works so quickly. So, and then the rest is history. Over the course of the next 12 months, then everything started disappearing. His body got stronger. He was able to go back to the gym, and he gained 23 to 24 pounds of lean muscle mass. And now he's in better shape than most 25, 30-year-olds I know. I mean, he's 68 now, and you would not think so. It's really quite incredible. So let's talk about, people talk about, it's funny when we talk about the patches, they're like, oh, photobiomodulation, phototherapy, these infrared beds, and this is all brand new. Not really. Photobiomodulation is over 100 years old. And especially in scientific and in the medical community, we've been using phototherapy, photobiomodulation. Heck, they've been using, they call them bilirubin lights, which are these special blue lights prior to the blue lights. But 30 years ago, they started using Billy lights in incubators for premature babies that were born with immature livers, because that blue light helped expedite the offloading of the bilirubin and start helping to mature the liver of the baby. And it's a light spectrum that you get from the sun. And so prior to the bilirubin lights, I'm told by people who worked in pediatric intensive care and neonatal intensive care, that in hospitals, before they actually had those Billy lights, they would put the babies' incubators and bassinets, they would take them and put them at the east-facing wall of the hospital. They would open the windows. They would leave the babies just in their little diapers with little coverings on their eyes, and then they would flip them over every 30 minutes. They also flip them over every 30 minutes on the Billy lights. But when they just had natural sunlight coming in from the eastward bound sun, from sunrise until noon in the morning, they would flip them every 30 minutes so that the UVA and UVB lights from the sun would help mature their liver. So we've been using photobiomodulation. It's just that the public at large doesn't know about this. But the first documented use of photobiomodulation, I think many people will be surprised to learn that that was in 1895. That's well over 100 years ago. And in 1903, Niels Ryberg-Finsen won the Nobel Prize for his research on using red light to treat tuberculosis of the skin. And in his experiments with mice, he found that exposing them to red light, which we get infrared light from the sun, by the way, by exposing them to red light, he reduced both their symptoms and mortality rate from lupus vulgaris. Isn't that fascinating? Really quite extraordinary if you think about it, because here we are in 2024, and the majority of the population thinks that phototherapy, photobiomodulation, that this is all like just brand new. Cell activation patches are new. Like I said, this has only been out for 4 years. This one, which is the oldest, has only been out 20 years. Takes a while for the word to get out, as you're already aware, and realizing and recognizing that this technology is now available and within your arm's length. You can actually touch it and use it yourself, and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. So the thing to notice is that these are FDA registered facilities that these are made in. These patches, they're non-transdermal. So unlike some people who use testosterone patches, for example, or birth control patches that have hormones in them to keep women from ovulating, men increasing their testosterone, guess what? These are non-transdermal. That means that nothing transfers into the skin. There's no medicine. These crystals, even though they're organic, sugar crystals, salt crystals, hydrogen, oxygen, water, and a proprietary blend of amino acids, these are not absorbed by your skin. They are a mechanical structure to reflect back, like a mirror, your infrared light back into your body. Therefore, they're non-invasive. They're organic, holistic, FDA-compliant Class 1 medical devices under the big umbrella, which is general wellness category. These are manufactured, like I said before, in FDA-registered facilities in the United States and in Europe, in Ireland specifically. They're registered with the Irish Medicine Board. We manufacture our products to the same standards as a medical device, because again, this is just a mechanical device to redirect back your infrared light to create this activation. And our facility in Ireland is ISO 9001 and 13485 compliant. That's a quality standard per our scientist, David Schmidt. Now, it's super important to realize and recognize and to really be aware of the fact that water is the building block of life. When you are conceived and you become an embryo, you are swimming. Your entire environment, inside your body, outside of your body, you are breathing, inhaling and exhaling water. You are swimming like a fish in amniotic fluid. Your DNA is 92% water. So the primary structure that holds up your body is DNA, and it's water. That's what holds the DNA strand up, erect, standing straight and stable, okay? So you're born as a baby, and out of that juicy environment, you are about 82% water. But as we age, we become less and less hydrated. By the time you're 60, 65 years old, you're only about 55, 60% water. Your DNA, though, is still 92% water until you're super dehydrated, and then you compromise it, and it literally starts to fall apart. And if you don't believe me, I will show you evidence of that in just a moment. So it's critically important. People who are into fitness and health, collegiate athletes, Olympians, peak performance athletes, people who are into reverse aging, anti-aging, general health and wellness, just good, healthy living, They know that you need to drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water to just keep your body, in stability. We are the only mammal. All the other mammals, all the other quadrupeds, horses, cats, dogs, ferrets, it doesn't matter. Any mammal, they all know to drink water, and they don't logic their way into thinking, oh, I'm not thirsty. I've got to eat something crunchy. We're the only ones who can override the feeling of thirst and eat something instead of drinking water. Mammals all inherently are wired with that. Again, the human brain, our left brain, has the ability to override instinctive, innate things. It's critically important because when you're 2% dehydrated, you will feel thirst in your mouth. That's the first clue. It's like, uh-oh, things inside of your body are starting to shrink. As a man, oh my gosh, things are shrinking in my body. As a woman, oh my gosh, things are shrinking in my body. You don't want that. What does that really mean? That things are shrinking in your body? Well, guess what? 2%, like I said, you're going to feel thirst in your mouth. Your brain is very water loving. And your brain, it's hydrophilic and it's 75 to 80% water. So as soon as you become 2% dehydrated, guess what shrinks? Your brain starts to shrink. Not a good idea to restrict the flow of energy, because when you restrict water intake to your brain, guess what? You're restricting the flow of energy, because all those electrons and electrolytes can't get to where they need to go if they have a constriction. The other thing that happens is your proteins, and this is horrifying, but the proteins in the body, just 2% dehydration, you're starting to have your proteins in your body start to fold in half. That's the beginning of disease. Now, think back about your DNA. I said that your DNA is 92% water. That's the primary component that holds your DNA up straight. DNA, because it's properly hydrated, it's almost all water. It's, of course, an energy amplifier. But look at what happens when you're more than 2% dehydrated. This is a properly hydrated strand of DNA. You could see it's the proper helix strand. You see the figure 8, the proper formation, beautiful form. At 8% dehydration, your DNA starts to unravel. It literally starts to fall apart. Not good. 10% dehydration, you lose your mind. Your brain cannot operate properly. It doesn't have the electrons, and the electrolytes cannot move around. So you lose your mind. 12% dehydration, hard shutdown. You're dead. You cease to exist because it's like cement in your body. Nothing can move. And so it's a hard shutdown. You're gone. So it's very important to keep your body hydrated. A 150-pound person, for example, you would be at 150 pounds, that's 75 ounces of water. That's the equivalent of just five Sparklets or Arrowhead water bottles. That's like 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 1 before you go to bed. Not that difficult to do, but very critically important. You can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to drink water if you don't want to. It's your health, not mine. But if you want to maintain health and wellness, and if you want to have success wearing the patches, you do need to keep your body hydrated for things to move and get to where they need to go. Otherwise, the patches will activate your master smart cells. Your master smart cells will pop out a brand new smart cell to replace whatever, or a brand new cell to replace an eye cell, a heart cell, a brain cell, a nerve cell, and it's going to hit quicksand because everything is like sticking to each other because you don't have proper hydration. If you're hydrating, it's like a river of fluid. It can get quickly to where it needs to go. Okay. So this is a gal. I'm going to share with you just a few testimonials here. We've got this gal who had really bad back pain, and she had been suffering with back pain since she was a teenager. She had scoliosis. We don't make any medical claims, but these are her results after just 4 weeks of being on the mother cell activation patch. And then we happen to have a patch that it's therapeutic in nature, where it turns off pain receptors. It doesn't repair anything, but the pain receptors, it just turns them off, so that while the mother cell activation patch is replacing and restoring and regenerating your body and literally doing all these repairs, you don't suffer pain. So you can clearly see that her right shoulder is lower than her left. She's slanted to the left. She has a nice indentation, pinched, cinched waist here on the right, not so much on the left, Both of her shoulder blades are sticking and protruding out, which they should not be because it's part of the result of the curvature of the spine. And she had significant back pain. Just 4 weeks later, you can see how her scapulas are now more naturally placed. They're not protruding any longer. Her back is straighter. You can tell that her left shoulder is more balanced with her right. And now she has an hourglass figure on both her left and right side, where she just doesn't have this cinched waist on the right and none on their left. But now you see more balance and symmetry from left to right. Here we have another person. This gentleman had a severe dysregulation of melatonin. Melatonin, of course, is the master antioxidant of the body. It's responsible not just for the pigment of your skin, but also the color of your hair, the color of your eyes. It's also it's responsible for the detoxification of heavy metals in your body. A lot of people don't know that about melatonin. They think of melatonin just for sleep or for tanning. And this guy had a very significant improvement in the quality of his life, not just from an aesthetic, because of course in the picture you can see the aesthetics. He actually looks better, looks younger. He's even skin toned now compared to how he was before. But he felt so much better and he had so much more energy, much better sleep. So here we have now, and then of course this took a year. You see one when he first started, 3 months later, and then a year later. And then here we have Kathy. Kathy almost died in a skydiving accident before she was on these patches. But what we've tried to highlight here is her big story. Everybody sees this incredible story of like, oh my gosh, she had all these not fine lines. She had deep lines and wrinkles on her neck, on her chest. And her big story is that, you know, your master smart cells, they're designed and programmed to replace damaged cells, end of story. Inside, outside of the body, top to bottom, left to right, front to back, doesn't matter. They're going to replace anything that's damaged in your body. White hair, it's oxidative stress. It's missing, melanin, melatonin. Let's go ahead, let's replace that. So her big story was that for 33 years, she suffered with 3 breast implants that caused her autoimmune disorder and a huge array of complications and pain points throughout her body. And guess what? In just 7 months, she had her body restored to, not only did she get rid of the fine lines and deep lines and wrinkles, but all of the symptoms that she had from her autoimmune disorder disappeared over the course of 7 months. She's still on the patches, by the way, but this is her in January. In March, lot less wrinkles. June, no wrinkles, just some lines. July, no fine lines, no wrinkles, and all of her symptomology that she used to complain about, that she used to travel all over the US looking for experts, doctors that could help her with her autoimmune from these breast implants. She no longer is suffering that. If you're interested in watching her whole story, because I did have her on my YouTube channel, for those of you who are watching on YouTube Live, you can see that story of transformation of Kathy. You'll see a graphic showing her picture here. And you'll see in the video that she looks just like this picture. She was 62 when she started on the patches. She's now 64. And to me, she looks like she's a 35, 40-year-old. She does not look like she's in her mid-60s at all. So Sadiq, you knew me in 2019 when I was still just 2 years post being on the, having been hit by a bus, because that's what drove me to go to, that was my big motivation to go to Cancun and to be at that week-long event, was to see if I could get, pain relief, if I could, repair my brain, because I had brain damage from being hit by a bus just 3 blocks shy of finishing a 16-mile bike ride. I literally had lost half of my hair, 50% of my hair. My hair became dry, coarse, and brittle. I had, for the Dr. Joe event, I still had a couple of bald spots on the top right of my head, and you couldn't see the one that was behind my head, but I had one the size of my palm that was on that backside. I also had one above my ear. So I could not wear my hair up. I had to just kind of wear it down and just do the best I could to kind of hide that, because that was a huge source of embarrassment for me. And I had that laceration on my leg, so I would not wear dresses. I did not wear shorts for almost 4 years, hiding that out because it was a really ugly scar. By the time that Dr. Joe event took place, it had already healed, but it took a year for that thing to close up. And then I had a very ugly, nasty scar and a lot of discoloration and a thick scar on that leg that went from my ankle to my knee. And so I had obviously some relief from doing, the meditations. I got pain relief, got rid of my insomnia. But when I got on the patches, that's when I took a quantum leap. Oh my gosh, that was like night and day. First of all, instead of my short-term memory, because I had 0 short-term memory after my accident, and because I repattern the brain, that's what I do for a living. I repattern the brain from physical and emotional trauma, and I use the patches as a tool with my patients and clients. And so I had used some of my neurosomatic methods to repattern my brain. I got some of my memory back, but it still took quite a bit of, effort, like intention and effort. Like if I wanted to learn something or memorize it, I had to not just read it, I had to read it out loud. I had to do it standing up. I had to highlight it, not just in digital form, but also in physical 3D form. I had to do an outline. I had to write 3x5 cards and write it 3 to 5, 6 times, however many times, until it would finally stick in my brain, because I was regrowing neurological pathways of the brain. However, 4 weeks after starting on the patches, now centralized medicine will tell you that once you have brain damage, that's it. You cannot grow back neurons, which is not true, because we've known from Candel that neurons that wire together fire together. So that's a Nobel Peace Prize winner. And he's telling us that you can regrow neurons, but centralized medicine, the consensus still is that you can't regenerate neurons, which we know is not true, because I'm living proof, and I'm not an exception. There's a ton of other of us that know that we can do that, right? But 4 weeks after being on the patches, like, first of all, the first 24 hours, I had deeper, sounder sleep. Like I was sleeping pretty good, but it was like a super deep, solid sleep, like when you're a kid, that kind of deep sleep. So that was, sorry about that. My Europeans call sometimes at this time of day because it's the end of the day for them. Sorry about that. Anyhow, the next thing was between the 3rd and 4th week, I was making my way reading all 90 clinical independent studies that we had, and I was reading the IceWave one, and I was struck by the keywords, which if you read a lot of studies, you notice that a lot of studies have some keywords. You're like, why are they even putting these in? They don't seem to be corresponding to the paper and whatnot. But this one only had 4 keywords, and it was organic, nanotechnology, traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture points, and photobiomodulation. And I thought, wow, those 4 keywords are nice, crisp, concise. I got to use those to language describing these patches to people, because at the time, no one was doing that yet. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to memorize that. And then when I read the abstract, if you read, research papers can be anywhere from 2 pages to like, probably the longest paper I think I've read is 38 pages long. So some of them can be very long. And then the abstract, some of them are very well written, some of them not so much. The majority of them are kind of really wordy and long, but this one was really concise, and it was very well and clear and reader friendly. So I thought, oh my gosh. And it basically said that the IceWave, LifeWave, stem cell activation patches created a significant effect in all of the subjects in the study, reducing pain by 50 to 100% within 3 to 4 minutes of applying the patches. The study therefore concluded the hypothesis to be true. And I thought, wow, this is a great abstract. It's short to the point. It's very clear. It's not confusing. A layperson can understand this. And I thought, I highlighted it. Actually, I didn't highlight it yet. I thought, I gotta highlight this. I literally took the paper because I had the printed form out. I set it literally to the side. And because I read my research papers in the morning, I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to do this so I can memorize it, I can learn it, I can recite it. And then I put it to one side, and then I was on a Zoom call just like this, and then somebody had a question about pain, and I was able to recite what I just recited to you. And in that moment, I had the awareness. I recognized that my short-term memory, my first thought was it was as good as it was when I was pre-med at USC when I was 18, 19 years old. And I thought, oh my gosh. And I've only been on the patches for not even a month. And then in that split second of realization, I had the memory. My long-term memory had been intact as far as I knew. My short-term memory was like, I had none, right? So now my long-term memory came back of being 5 years old, November, my kindergarten year. I had eye surgery, and I remembered that I was in the hospital for a week. My eyes were patched for a week because I had the muscles on both of my eyes that had surgery on them. And I realized in that moment, oh my gosh, this brain damage that I had from the traumatic brain injury of this accident in 2017 was the second TBI, not the first. My first traumatic brain injury was when I was 5, the first time I had general anesthetics. Because what people don't know, and I knew this as a holistic care practitioner, that when you are subjected under general anesthetics, for each time and for each hour that you remain under general anesthetics, that's basically a medically induced coma. There's 4 things that an anesthesiologist does to you. 1, they wipe out your memory. They give you amnesia through the drugs that they give you. 2, they do hypnosis. 3, they turn off your pain receptors with analgesia. And number 4, they paralyze your body. Then the anesthesiologist lowers your heart rate, lowers your breath rate, lowers your pulse, lowers your brain waves. And for each hour that you're under general anesthetics, you have oxygen deprivation to the brain, which is what causes the ensuing brain damage, which is why oftentimes people have a very tough time recuperating from surgery from a perspective of regaining their cognitive function. And some people don't ever regain it, depending on, for example, someone who's had a quadruple, I know someone who had a quadruple bypass, who was in surgery for 8 hours and never completely regained. Basically, the surgery saved their life, but they were disabled after that. They were never able to work again. You can unring the bell with damage with these patches, and that's been my experience. To the left is all the neurological, because it created all sorts of, I had a neck injury, I had a back injury, and I had a leg injury. And all these things got rectified in about 14 months of my wearing these patches, which I thought, including my hair in 4 months, that I had 70% hair growth and about 3 to 4 inches of hair length. And then the rest is history. So let's move on here. Here's another gal, Gail Henry, who had severe curvature of the spine. She had terrible, terrible back pain as well. And in less than 2 months, look, the fold of flesh that she had from the curvature being so pronounced, the fold of flesh is gone. The curvature of the spine is much straighter. And then you could see that the texture of her skin, a lot of the oxidative stress that you have here evidenced by everything from moles to freckles to cholesterol spots to angiomas, which are these red type moles. You see how much better in just 2 months of wearing the patches. We're showing you just the back. Of course, that was throughout her whole body, but you can see that the structure of her spine is improving as she's going on. And then, of course, her pain started to disappear, and she no longer has pain. So we're going to close up here in giving you the bullet points of what the short response for people who just want the bottom line. So just tell me bottom line, what does this mother cell activation patch do? It basically activates your original master smart cells to do this rapid repair head to toe. That's the short and long of it. For people who want details, these are the details. It resets 1/3 of your genes to a younger, healthier state. Regenerates cells, replacing damaged cells. Restores collagen, rebuilds scar tissue, reduces fine lines and wrinkles, increases your energy, your sexual libido. Yes, it does increase sexual libido, because when you are younger, you have more sexual libido. It's part of being younger, right? Increase antioxidants, anti-aging, anti-inflammation. If you have pain, you'll experience anywhere from 50 to 100% pain relief within 3 to 4 minutes. Improved hair growth, improved deeper, sounder sleep. One of the guys, a few guys actually that I know who've been on the patches, who've tested, they do full body scans and they do full blood workups and get all 43 of their biomarkers tested. They've documented that they've had a 400% increase in their testosterone, even though they're over 50 years of age. Got a couple 50-year-olds and a few 60-year-olds who have their testosterone is like 400% higher. And of course, that increases muscle tone and all sorts of other things. So that's pretty exciting. Okay, where to put the patches? So the patches work anywhere on the body. Top of your head, bottom of your feet, anywhere. Like your skin, your body's infrared light is activating it. So it's going to work anywhere on the body. All 90 clinical studies, however, were done with just, because you have to have controls and constants in studies. So there were 2 locations that we recommended. There are 2 acupuncture points. Governing vessel 14, which if you take your dominant hand, touch the back of your neck, go to the bottom of your neck, the top of your spine, that first bump, that's governing vessel 14. That's where your brainstem goes into your spinal column, signals your spinal cord and your autonomic nervous system, signaling everything in the body. Very powerful acupuncture point. The second spot is 3 finger widths below your belly button. That's conception vessel 6. That acupuncture point has to do with all things related to conception, reproduction, your endocrine system, and your digestion. So people can wear it. Those are like the default positions. But my favorite is to tell people, point to the pain and patch it. You don't need to know acupuncture. You know, you can always do a patch placement call. We always have patch placement calls for people who want the patch placement calls. But the good default is if you have pain, like Ron, he had pain in his hand, he put the patch on his hand, and then within minutes, his hand pain was gone. If you have angina, if you have chest pains, you can put the patch there. If you have muscular, whether it's a fracture, a pulled muscle, pulled tendon, or a ligament, point to the pain and patch it. Okay. We use traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture points to magnify the effects, but you have acupuncture points throughout your body. Does that make sense? Okay. Sadiq, I'm going to, of course, remind everybody, Carol, Al, viewers on YouTube to, of course, remember to drink your water from the time you wake up. You know, a lot of women, and some men too, but a lot of people, you know, there's always this talk about diets. Carol and I happen to be on the other spectrum that when things happen, we lose weight, we're thin, and then we don't really have a lot of weight to lose. And then, you know, something bad happens to you, like I get hit by a bus. She loses her husband of 58 years and is heartbroken. And what do? Do we like start eating a bunch of munchies and gain 10, 20 pounds? No, we do the opposite. We lose our appetite and we lose weight that we can't afford to lose, you know, and it's like, and you think that it's like, it's like, I'd rather have that than, I'm like, no, trust me. They're the same problem in reverse, because everything you do to gain weight when you lose weight like that, I can't tell you how hard. After I got hit by a bus, because I dropped down to like 91, 92 pounds from 103, which is my normal. And then, of course, what little button boobs that I had gone. And then, of course, you get gaunt. And then your clothes are loose on you. And I upped the ante. I started buying, this is not a sponsored video, but I got Orgain from Whole Foods. I bought the big jug like this of Orgain protein powder. And it calls for I'm not average size anything. I'm only 5'1" and normally 103 pounds. The time I was 91 pounds. It calls for 1 scoop, you know, as you mix it with milk or with water. I never did it with water because I couldn't afford to not have calories. I always did it with coconut milk. I always did it with regular milk. I needed the extra calories, no low fat or fat-free anything, right? So I'm doing 2 scoops of protein, plus I didn't normally eat peanut butter, but I got Laura Scudder's natural organic peanut butter. I would have a tablespoon of peanut butter just to get the protein and the extra fat. I also increased my butter intake, like organic, you know, Kelly's Irish butter. There were all sorts of things that I was doing, including, because I didn't have much of an appetite, but I was forcing myself to eat. And the first month, thank goodness I didn't lose any more weight, but I didn't gain not even 1 freaking pound. And to be working that hard every day, trying to feed myself, to get myself to regain the weight, and to not gain not even 1 pound after all of that is very depressing, very demoralizing, because you really do want to gain even 1 pound. I would have been happy. I figured, okay, in a year, I'll gain back all the weight that I lost, but not even 1 pound. Second month, still no weight gain. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep on doing this, knowing that somewhere, somehow it's going to all kind of fall back into place, which eventually it did. But with the patches are designed because you're activating your original blueprint, your master programming. It brings all the systems of the body into balance. And so it's very powerful. Sadiq, do you have any questions that I might be able to answer for you right now?
Well, I had this question. You're talking about the patches. I was wondering because recently I heard some of my friends was talking about the stem cells for the diabetes patients. And while you're explaining the function of these patches, I was just remembering what he said, and I want to ask you about that. Does those patches would be a help to restore this stem cells where it's been damaged for the diabetes people in the pancreas?
Yes. So this, again, we don't make any medical claims, but yes. So if there's anything wrong with your pancreas that led you to the point where you were diagnosed with diabetes 1, 2, or 3, yes, because this is going to restore your pancreas. It's going to restore every organ in your body. Whatever is damaged.
So basically, they have to pitch it on the pancreas itself, like on the third center.
You could put it on if you have pain, because some people do have pain in the pancreas. So if you have pain, then I would put it right under that rib so that it's right on the pancreas. But otherwise, I would put it on your neck bump. I think under your neck bump.
How long is the patch? Yes, sorry. You continue.
No, yeah. So you could patch it either or. So what I like to tell people also is like so for example, like if you have some people, their diabetes, they don't have, some of them have, pain in their hands and their feet, which is it's one of the symptoms of the diabetes. So if you have that, then, you could put it under your belly button because it has to do with all things endocrine. It has to do with your reproductive system and so forth. But reality is wherever you have the most pain in the body, you're going to want to put the patch there first. The default position, you can never go wrong. It's always a right thing to put it on your neck bump or below the belly button.
All right. So how long does the patch last for? Like every patch will just go for how many days?
So you put new patches on every morning for 12 hours on, then 12 hours off. So you apply these, whatever your normal start time is for the day, whether it's 4 or 5 in the morning, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, doesn't matter. As long as you're consistently wearing it at the same time every day, then let's say 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And I always tell people, you're going to apply your patches. First of all, it's a new habit that you're going to create. So keep your patches in your bathroom next to your toothbrush. I like to keep mine to the left-hand side because since we read left to right, you brush your teeth and you see it there on the left-hand side. You're like, oh yeah, I got to put my patches on. And then you're going to have an alarm that says, apply the patches, right? Let's say it's 9 a.m. 12 hours later, you'll have an alarm that reminds you, because trust me, if you don't, like last night, confession here. Last night, it was Easter. I had my kids over. We were celebrating the family and everything. My alarm went off. Did I take them off at that time? No, I didn't. Did I hit the snooze button? No, because I was busy like with my kids and having fun and all that kind of stuff. I forgot to hit the snooze button. I woke up this morning and I'm like, I forgot to take my patches off. Oh my God, what a bummer. And so I was like, so I couldn't wear this one today. I'm not able to wear this because I have to match the 24 hours that I signaled my body with 24 hours of rest, repair, and restore. Tomorrow morning, I'll be able to put those patches on. The only ones that I took off last night was the energy enhancers, but I didn't take the rest of my patches off. So that's
basically
why I have this one on.
Yeah, so basically when you keep the patch and it goes for 24 hours, you have to stop patching yourself for another 24 hours.
You always match. If you signaled your body for 24 hours, then you need to rest your body for 24 hours. You always have the matching time. So ideally you would put them on 12 because you have a sympathetic nervous system that goes from sunrise to sunset, your day hours, and then your parasympathetic system, which is from sunset to sunrise. So ideally, the patches are designed for you to wear them 12 hours on and then 12 hours off. Are there exceptions? Absolutely. I have people who are in the hospital. I have someone right now who's 100 years old who's in the hospital. And so her daughter, because she's not there every day, she doesn't live with her in the hospital until she gets her out of the hospital. She's putting the patches on for 24 hours on. And then like today, because she actually started her yesterday, So then today she's 24 hours off, and then tomorrow morning when she brings her home, then she'll have her wear it 12 hours, and she'll get back on the cycle of 12 and 12. Because you really do want to respect our sympathetic and our parasympathetic system. The circadian, something that they don't talk much about in medical circles, in integrative medicine and functional medicine, we're much more aware of it. But in general medical circles, they don't talk a lot about the circadian rhythms of the body. And when we talk about circadian rhythms, 99% of the people think about circadian rhythms for sleep. But you tend to neglect the fact that every single organ system of the body has its own circadian rhythm. And your eye is not just a camera to see, it's actually a circadian rhythm oscillator. What does that mean? That means that it's something that's moving like this, like in circles. It's oscillating, it's moving, and it's what's setting the rhythms for your gallbladder, for your digestion, for your respiratory system, etc. Every organ system of the body has a circadian rhythm, and it's set by your eye through what your eye sees in terms of the UV rays of light in the sun, which is why I tell people, everyone who I get started on the patches, Carol knows this, Al knows this, when I start people on the patches, I go, it's so important, create the new habit that within the first 30 minutes of you waking up, get out in the sunlight in the morning, first thing after sunrise, but before 10 a.m., unrobed, and get morning sunlight where your eyes are looking at the blue sky. You're looking towards the east sun because the sun is raising, it's sunrise starts from the east, and you're looking in the direction of the sun, not necessarily at the sun, but that is setting the circadian rhythms of your body, and you're getting UVA and UVB light, which is turning into vitamin A, which is a hormone in the body, and vitamin B, which is also a hormone in the body, which actually UVB creates vitamin D and D3, which turns into a hormone in the body. And that helps all the organ systems of your body, including your immune system. We're bombarded right now with LED lights, not only from computers, laptops, desktops, iPads, notepads, and cell phones, but also from the LED lights from our the light bulb types that we have in our houses, our works, any place out in public, trains, our cars, all LED lights. You travel in a plane, all LED lights. Any kind of boat, catamaran, yacht, all LED lights. And blue light causes DHEA destruction. It destroys your DHEA fountain of youth hormone. It causes inflammation, and it causes insulin resistance. So for people who are diabetics, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But if I were you, if you were my mother or father, I would immediately go to my parents' house. If either of them were diabetics or pre-diabetic, I would switch out all their light bulbs, change them to incandescent bulbs, and get infrared light bulbs, half of them infrared light, half of them clear. And make sure their room and wherever the space that they spend the most time, I would put infrared light bulbs instead of LED lights, because LED lights is causing insulin resistance, causing inflammation in their body, and it's destroying your DHEA, fountain of youth hormone. And if your body has the manifestation of that disease or other related diseases, it's showing you that your light environment is toxic.
Exactly. I have one more question, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
Are they usable, or like after removing the patch, it's going to be used again, or disposable, or gonna?
They're disposable. So you wear them you're going to wear them today for 12 hours, and then the instructions say to discard them and get rid of them. Yeah. So officially that is the thing. Now, for those, like Carol and Al and I know that after you've used them for 12 hours, I know this from people who have had pets, like if you have animals, cats, dogs, etc., horses, if you take your used patches and you put that on the collar of a cat or a dog, and let's say the dog has, because we've had plenty of dogs that were 8, 9, 10 years old that had cataracts, and after 2 months, their cataracts were gone just from using the used patches from their owner. And so that suggests to me that there's a little bit of juice left. So instead of throwing away my patches that I take off tonight, I put them on either my mirror or my granite countertop. It has to be something that's like a mirror or glass or a granite countertop, so that, because if you don't stick it to something, then the adhesive will oxidize and it won't stick to anything. But what I do is then the next morning, I put my fresh new patches on, and then my used patches I put under my feet. And then that way, if there's anything left of that, I get the last little bit. Can't hurt me any because I've got the full bone, whatever residue is under my feet. And then my new patches are always in the spots that I normally wear them on.
And how many patch comes in the box like?
Fantastic question. So this is a 30-day supply. So there's 30 patches each. All of our patches come with 30 patches in them. The only difference is that this is a 30-day supply. So you wear 1 patch a day. You can wear, people have worn up to 3 of these a day, depending on how serious they've got something going on. This one has 30 patches, but you have 15 tan and 15 white. This is a 2-patch system. So if you see here, I hope you can tell the difference of the coloring. This one, can you see that that's tan? It's more of a tan, a cafe au lait color. It's a tan color, whereas this one is white. It's a 2-patch system because our bodies have polarity. It has an electrical charge. So you have a pull and push energy. This is pulling and pushing the energy through your body to enhance your energy, to regulate your lymphatic system, and to improve your heart rate variability, which from the Heart Math Institute means that your heart is more elastic. So just as it will jump up, it's elastic enough to come back down and not stay stuck idling high or idling low for that matter.
Right. And is there any, like, while you're explaining these patches, like people are wearing it for like a year or maybe more than, it could be more than a year, people are wearing that. 14 months, I guess you said, then after you got whatever you are seeking for, you can stop them at that time, or you can just wear them forever.
So we recommend that you wear it for a minimum of a year. So typically there's something in your environment that caused you to have, like I talked about the LED lights, how it causes insulin resistance, it breaks your DHEA, fountain of youth hormone, and it increases inflammation in the body. So if you stop the patches and let's say you still have LED lights everywhere, guess what? That's going to come back because your body's going to naturally progress and age the way it did before. It won't unring. So for example, if you stop wearing the patches, it's not like you lose all the benefits right away because your body is going to think that it's it could be anywhere from like 16 to 20 years younger after a year of being on the patches. We recommend you be on the patches at least 12 months. Without being on the patches, from Dr. Joe's work that it's a 7-year cycle for your body to replace all 56 trillion cells in the body. But when you're on the patches, that happens much faster because you have 1/3 of your previously dormant master cells that are doing this rapid reparation. So tell people after 12 months, 14 months, depending on what you got going on, you simply stop patching when you no longer want your body to replace and restore damaged cells to new cells. Myself, I've decided it's like, well, I'd rather be as young as I possibly can. Why would I want to not reverse age? Because this isn't anti-aging. This is actually reverse aging. So it's like, well, why would I want to, not continue to reverse age? I'm going to want to do this for the remainder of my life because if I can live to be 105, 10, or 15, maybe 120, I'd rather do that than fall apart at 90 plus years old because I'd rather, get to 115 or 120 and then just go to sleep one day and decide to slip away, out of free will, not because of decay. But that's a personal choice. Everybody's different. So, but 1 year is recommended.
All right. So there's a quite differences between the old version of the patches and the new one, as you said, right?
So this is the oldest. So this enhances energy. This will also enhance your energy, but this is going to enhance your energy. Like I wore this at the beginning, even though I had pretty good energy, because I wanted my brain. That was like my #1 priority was my brain. I wanted to restore all my brain functionality, all my cognitive function, get all of my memory back. I wanted to optimize my brain as much as possible. And I wanted it to happen as quickly as possible. I didn't want to wait a year. I understand enough. The neurons in your brain and in your nervous system are the hardest things to repair. It takes a lot of protein. It takes a lot of time. They're the most complex structures to build. So I'm like, I want this to happen as quickly as possible. I don't want to drag this out. So that's why I immediately started with energy enhancer to move the energy faster in my body. My heart rate variability was already stellar. My calcium score I knew was 0 because I had it measured. So heart rate variability, lymphatic issues, they were already fine for me. So enhancing energy, my energy was already up. I didn't get tired. However, I wanted to move the energy faster in my body because I wanted that repair as quickly as possible. And so then I experienced that and I just kept, like, I still wear the energy enhancer because I figure I'd rather move the energy quicker. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. And the other one, I think you explained just fairly enough for the other one, the new one. So it's absolutely clear.
This one's 4 years old. This is the mother cell activation patch. We also have a daughter cell activation patch, which protects you against radiation poisoning relief and increases bone density and muscle mass. But this is the mother cell activation patch. This is like the holy grail of restoration is right here. This is the big game changer.
So the old one, you need to wear 2 patches of the old one. As you said, they have 2 colors, right? Every day you have to wear 2 patches from the old one if you want an energy booster.
Yeah, I would wear, this an energy enhancer or this an Eon. We can talk about your specifics when you decide to get started, when I can answer your questions for you. I'll answer whatever questions you have right now. But yeah, that's what I would recommend for you.
All right. That's absolutely clear. And what is the prices for that? If I can ask this question, it's okay.
Yes. So obviously it's not $1 million. It's not, $3,000. Here it is. Although a lot of people will pay a lot of money to restore their bodies, as you can imagine. Stem cell therapies, they run normally 8,000 to 11,000. I should probably change this to 25,000 because I have several people that paid 25 grand a pop for IV sessions. And then they still ended up on the patches because they've gotten more results from the patches than they did from their IV sessions. But this, for the price of this, is $149 for a 1-month supply. So it's $5 a day. So for $10 a day, you can obviously get more cell activation. But for the price of a cup of coffee a day, this is if you go to our site, you'll see that on the retail side, this is $149 for one. If you do these 2, then it's almost $300 for these 2. And then you have to do a mandatory auto ship for 6 months. You don't have to do an auto ship. I can put you on a Dr. Wholesale pack. Instead of getting 2, you can get 4 of these for the price of 2 for $2.99. Because the retail's $4.50, you'll get it for $2.99. And then you don't have to do the mandatory auto ship because you get on a Dr. Wholesale pack, there's nothing mandatory. And you're just paying for the patches. You're not paying, like on the retail side, you pay $149 and you pay $24. I think it's $24 or $29 for your member ID number. You don't have to do any of that. On the Dr. Wholesale side, you just pay for the product. That's it. And then if you want to do a monthly auto ship, we set you on an auto ship. For people who want to save the maximum, then you get the diamond pack where you can get 19 months of the 39. Instead of almost $3,000, you pay half. It's like it's about a 50% saving. Anything that you buy becomes it's like a huge savings. So the diamond pack, how 19 sleeves. That's 19. Yeah, you can do 19 months of the X39. Yeah.
The X39, the X39 is the newest version, right?
Yeah, that's the newest version. And if you want to get less sleeves of the S39 so that you can include sleeves of the energy enhancer.
Yeah.
Or we have some other patches too. We can customize this for you. And you always have these sleeves there too, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty clear to me. And I think I have decided, but I need to chat with you on the private WhatsApp. Then I get the more information and get all details what I need.
Okay. You got my number already. So fantastic.
Yeah, I got your number. Yeah.
Any other question? Sadiq, where do you live? What country are you in?
I live in GCC, Bahrain, Kingdom of Bahrain.
Oh, okay. So are you close? Are you in Dubai?
I'm an hour close to Dubai by plane. Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, and that.
All right then. I think Al, haven't you been there?
Yeah, I lived there for 3 years.
Oh, you've been in Bahrain?
Yes, Bahrain. Yeah, I was on the Navy base there. We lived in Al
Really surprising.
We lived in Alpine Gardens.
Yeah, that's Al Jufair, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
really surprised me because no one knows Bahrain. And then when I talk about Bahrain, they say, "Where is this?" Like,
Yeah, I lived
it's a
there for 3 years.
country.
My youngest daughter went to school there, Nadine's. It's
Yeah,
a British school system, yeah.
yeah.
It's pretty
Nice to meet you, Alan.
Yeah.
nice to meet you too. Yes.
Al, your hair's getting darker, and now you've got a dark. Your mustache used to
I
be
know
gray.
it's getting
It's all
darker.
dark now,
The patches.
and your eyebrows are so much darker too. Oh my
Yeah, I
God.
know. I'm getting the evil doctor brow.
Your hair's getting darker. Wow.
I'd love to hear your story, Al.
Yeah.
Tell her your story about how you texted
Oh,
for getting that
yeah,
certificate.
we were Billy and I were in a class in Las Vegas, and I started feeling bad. So I know that she's a naturopath. She's got all these things. So I called her. I asked her. I said, "Hey, I'm not feeling very good. Do you have any like elixirs or potions or notions or anything you can give me?" She's like, "What room are you in?" She comes up, gives me the patches, tells me to drink the water. So I took the patches. I put well, I don't remember which patches that I put on. Well, you did the test first.
Yeah, the
Weight
polarity
test.
at first.
See where there is I needed the daytime, nighttime, polarities need to be reversed. But then I put the patches on and I took a little nap and drank some water. And then I don't remember how long it was, but I woke up and I felt great.
2 hours, 17 minutes.
Yeah.
I even questioned him because I never had anybody respond that quickly. It was like
good.
8 o'clock at night because you missed class that whole day, and you had headaches, you had high fever, chills, body aches, nausea, and you felt like a truck had hit you.
Yeah, it felt pretty bad. We don't know what it was. It could have been COVID. A lot of people got COVID.
Yeah, because we were in Las Vegas at the convention center, so it's like
this was what, 2022?
Yeah, that was 2022. And here's the text message from him. Do you have any magic potions? Do you have any magic potions? Or elixirs to boost my immuno system? I'm down and out. Didn't go to class today. Sore throat, headache, pressure, chills. Thanks. And then I'm like, what room number?
What patches did you put on it?
So I put 39, 49, Eon. I think I only had, because I was out of glutathione, Eon, carnosine. It was those 4 patches. And I had run out of glutathione because I had patched somebody else who needed glutathione. In fact, Renee Clay, who was just on last week on here, I used the glutathione because she has MS. And I'm like, oh, you need glutathione. So I put that on her.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I ran low on the glutathione because of that. But yeah, and then I gave him 2 water bottles. Well, I had 4 water bottles. I remember I had you drink those 2 right away. And then I told you, okay, at 8 o'clock, you drink another water bottle and then put the patches on. And then you told me that at 9 o'clock, you drank another water bottle and you felt much better. And then I got a phone call at 10:17. You're like, it was so funny. You're the only one that talks like this to me. He goes, Lillian, these patches are badass.
I love it. Oh, good. Good.
These patches are badass. He goes, I'm fine. No headaches. All my symptoms are gone. I'm like, I looked at my phone. I'm like, and I looked at the clock. I'm like, 10:17. Like, wait a minute. So now I'm like doubting, questioning him. Like, wait a minute. Did you drink the water bottles like I told you to? And he's like, yes, ma'am. I drank the water bottle. 8 o'clock, I drank that. At 9 o'clock, I drank the next water bottle. And I have no symptoms, no body aches, no chills, no headaches, no nausea, nothing. I'm obviously still contagious, so I'm not going to go to class tomorrow, but I feel fine.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. I go, that's 2 hours, 17 minutes. That's insane.
It was pretty cool.
I was flabbergasted. And he was like thrilled. And then the next day, you're like, I got to get started on these patches. I'm like, okay, I'm in class. You get to work and do everything, in your hotel room. I'm here stuck in class. I go, we'll start you tonight, which we did. But it was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing to me and to this day, I will say he's the fastest person that I've had. I have patched so many people who tested positive for the big COVID, that thing that was going around the last 4 years. So many people who tested positive had high fevers and everything, and I would patch them And then within 24, everybody else was within 24 hours. If anybody felt better sooner, they didn't tell me. Everyone that I checked with, either they called me or I checked with them, and they're like, I'm fine today. And like Barry was like that. Barry had long haulers for 18 long months.
Oh, bummer.
And he would wake up every morning with nausea and headaches, and he had horrible insomnia. He tried every gummy, CBD, you name it. Nothing would help him get to sleep. And then he had no stamina. He was so fatigued, and it was wearing him out. And I put him on the patches, and within 24 hours, he's like, wow. He goes, I'm on a high. I've got energy. I slept better than I've had in the last 18 months. And even Gwen, his wife, even noticed. So, and his headache, his nausea, he had 0 headache for the first time in 18 months, no headache, no nausea. I'm like, I can't imagine having headache and nausea for 18 months, but he did, but not anymore. It was incredible.
Yeah. Well, I know just having my AFibs go away in 10 minutes. I mean, when you have your heart going all over the place, and I've always had good heart. It's just when I had a broken heart from losing my husband, that was different. And my heart rate went all over the place. It's called AFib. And that is not comfortable. And I finally went to a cardiologist for the first time in my life. Never done that. And within 10 minutes of putting the patches on, that all stopped, and it's stopped ever since. So it kind of got my attention. I can breathe. The other day I went on a 10-mile hike in the woods, because I've always done that. My husband and I, he was a forester. We walked the woods. So, and I did it by myself. 10 miles.
10 miles. 10 miles. And 2 weeks ago, she went dirt bike riding when she couldn't even leave her house.
I'm 84.
She went riding a dirt bike 2 weeks ago. I was like, you did what? She goes, I rode my dirt bike today. I'm like,
I rode my friend's dirt bike.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. That's so amazing.
Well, you know,
her energy is up, and she gained, because she was underweight, she gained back her weight. And so she's much stronger.
I got down to 84 pounds, and I'm a very small person too, but 84 pounds, that doesn't quite cut it. Yeah. And now I'm at a prime weight, and I didn't eat a bunch of stuff. It's just the patches balanced my body the weight it's supposed to be. And I understand stem cells. So I'm now 123 pounds. I have never weighed that much in my entire life, but that amount of weight for me is recognizably what I should have always weighed, because it's just comfortable. It's perfect. The muscles and everything. I'm ready to rock and roll.
And your bone density, because the patches increase bone density. Bones weigh more than muscle. Yeah. And so as her bone density has increased, and her strength, her stamina, her focus, her memory, all sorts of things. I've seen her. She started August 8th, Tuesday, August 8th. Her and her sister both started that same day. Yeah. And it's been incredible. So I need to get off here. I want to make sure I answer all your questions. Sadiq, you've had my number since 2019. Yes. So we can talk afterwards, and we can finish this up. Al, great to see you. Carol.
Yeah. Hey, we need to chat also sometime, okay?
Okay. Do you want to talk today? I can, as soon as I'm done here, I'll look and see what my next availability, and I'll call you right back.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.